Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, Special Assistant to the Mayor for Community, Culture, and Belonging.
And I am your co-host, Connie Vargas, the Executive Assistant to the Mayor.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
Let's dive into an inspiring conversation with a leader from Wisconsinsibs, an organization dedicating to empowering and supporting siblings of individuals with disabilities. Who do we have here today, Timber?
I'm excited about this conversation too, Connie. Who we have here today is Bill Grennell, Executive Director of Wisconsinsibs. Hey, Bill, how are you doing?
I'm great. Wisconsinsibs is excited to be here today.
All right, Wisconsinsibs. I'm going to work on that.
It's an easy mistake.
Bill, can you tell us a little something about yourself and your connection to Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Absolutely. I'm a relative newcomer to Appleton and Fox Cities. My wife and I moved here almost 3 years ago, but not quite. We are basically originally Southerners, Southern California. So I grew up halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego with 20 million of my closest friends and family. And we're very excited to be here because Wisconsin is just filled with warm, friendly folks that like to wave with all five fingers at us. So we're happy to be here. But the other part, I do have some family history. I'm the youngest of 7 kids and the only one that was not born in Fond du Lac. So growing up, I came back to the Fox Cities area for summer vacations and got to know and love the area and just thoroughly enjoy being here now.
Did you say 20 million?
Yeah, it's a little area. The one county I lived in had almost the population of the entire state of Wisconsin in the county.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't say that I missed that too much.
No. Well, we're glad to have you here.
And I'm happy to be here.
So, Bill, can you tell us about your resource?
Absolutely. So Wisconsinsibs is a great organization, and it's unfortunately kind of a well-kept secret, and we're working really hard to change that. Wisconsinsibs is an organization that was initially founded by Harriet Redmond here in Appleton, and it's for siblings of people with disabilities. Because oftentimes when a family is going through the initial challenges of figuring out how to handle the situation of having a child with disabilities, they get very focused on having to take care of them medically and all the other challenges that come with it. And if they have another kid who doesn't have those challenges, that child can oftentimes feel like they are invisible or they're not as focused on and feel a little lost. And it's not an uncommon situation for that sibling to not know how to handle their situation, and they don't necessarily know who they can share it with because their friends, their peers, don't understand the situation of what they're going through. So Wisconsinsibs provides that community, that opportunity for people to get together and for them to share their common experiences and help them roughly understand what's going on. And if something worked for me that helped me get through this tough situation, maybe it'll help you. Or if you've got something that you've done that helped you, maybe that'll help me. So it's an opportunity for siblings to get together and really share with each other and help each other learn and grow. And most importantly, not feel like they're the only ones out there going through this journey.
So this started in Appleton?
It sure did.
And when did that start?
1998. So we are just over 26 years old, and we have helped literally hundreds, if not thousands, of youth, teens, and adults because we help the whole spectrum of siblings. Just because you become an adult doesn't stop you from still being a sibling. And there are unique challenges as an adult with your sibling. As mom and dad start to age out, You may be next in line to start helping to care for your sibling, or you may be helping to find a service to help care for your sibling. And figuring out all the finances, all the paperwork, all the legal parts to it, there's a whole journey forward that we call it, and we help provide training for that.
Well, that's good clarity, because with a name like that, I would have assumed it was youth focused.
Well, I would say that it started out youth focused in many respects. In fact, our founder, Harriet Redmond, started the organization because there was basically a moment of clarity. She was in her backyard with her daughter and her son, and her daughter basically looked at her mom and said, when you and Dad aren't here anymore, who's going to take care of my brother? And, she at 5 years old was already having that moment of understanding that mom and dad, mom and dad aren't going to be around forever. What's going to happen to him when you're not here? And that was that moment of clarity for Harriet to realize she needed to figure out how to help her daughter grow and understand her role in the family and what they were going to do as she got older. And as Harriet went looking for information, she couldn't find anything to speak of. She eventually did find a little bit, but realized that it needed to be more. And so she started working with other families that she knew, and from her kitchen table formed the organization Wisconsinsibs. Originally, it was the Fox Valley Sibling Support Network, and we changed our name a number of years ago so that we would be more encompassing for the whole state.
Cool. Can you walk us through a little bit of what services exactly are offered to these individuals?
Sure.
Example?
So for the younger siblings, the youth, 6 to 12, we have a program that we call Sib Shops. And they started basically here in Appleton. And we've recently added Madison and Milwaukee to our service areas. We want to add more, but that, I'll get more to that later. But it's an opportunity once a month for the kids to get together. They will work on different projects, crafts, have some food with it typically. But they also will have the opportunity to incorporate some life skills. They'll take the opportunity to talk about things that make them happy about their sibling and things that don't make them happy about their siblings. And sometimes you might have something that makes you happy and you're comfortable with, and that very same thing bothers and irritates you. So it gives a conversation of how do we handle this, and how do we do it in a positive way, and how do we help each other to better understand how to move through this unique journey. And we typically try to take the kids to a different location each month that is someplace that they might not be able to go to with their family because they may have a sibling that may have access issues or may have behavior issues that make it difficult for a family to go to some place where they can relax and then just enjoy the day. So we try to do a variety of unique opportunities for the kids so that they're excited to come visit us each month, and they tell their friends so that hopefully they spread the word and we grow the program. So that's our youth program, 6 to 12. We have a teen program that we're continuing to develop and make even bigger and better. But right now, one of the primary focuses is to help them with leadership skills. And we do that in a number of ways, but one of the ways we do is we have a leadership retreat basically for the teens. And then we also incorporate our teens into our Sib Days of Summer, which is our day camp, and our Sib Camp, which is our overnight camp. And we have these older siblings come help mentor the younger siblings in a camp situation. And it is a super fun and fantastic way to do it. And then kind of the next level up, not as many we have participating in this, but we typically have a couple of college students each year act as interns so that they get a little more leadership, a little more skill development. They also get to help develop our programs for the summer, and it's something that they can give back and also make a little bit of cash to get ready for that next semester of college. And then After that, like I mentioned earlier, we have our adult programs. So our adult siblings, we have some book clubs. We have the Journey Forward, which can be done either in person as a group or can actually be done online digitally so that they can go through a course and get some training on how their next step in the journey is going to go. And then we also have one additional program that we call SIB Kits. And this is typically for the 3 to 5 year old range. And with the SIB Kits, it's a box that has individual materials like a book, a barrel of monkeys, coloring activities, things like that. And the idea behind that is oftentimes young families are having to go to a lot of doctor offices. And they oftentimes have to bring this either younger sibling or sometimes older sibling, but they need to bring that sibling along with them to the doctor appointments. And this gives those kids something to do and to keep them occupied while mom and dad are going through the tough part of dealing with whatever the challenge may be at the doctor appointment. So, and it's not limited to just that. We also are using the SIB kits for kids who may live out in parts of Wisconsin that aren't close enough to make it in for a drive for a SIB shop at Appleton or Madison or Milwaukee. So we're trying to keep that mindful that we're not able to physically be at every place in Wisconsin, but we want to help every sibling that needs our program. And so we're trying to create ways to make sure we can help them as much as possible.
So if I heard you right, your service area is all of Wisconsin?
That's correct. We are focused right now in the Fox cities, Madison and Milwaukee.
How big's your team?
We're small but mighty. We have 2 full-time team members and 8 part-time team members currently. And it is one of those things that we have great visions. We would love to grow. It's kind of a chicken and an egg kind of thing. It's fundraising to be able to afford more staff members, but it's more staff members to provide the program where people can see that we need more funding. And it is something that is very pertinent to our growth. In the state of Wisconsin, there's approximately 600,000 people with a disability of one form or another. And the national average is about 80% of all kids have a sibling. So that means in the state of Wisconsin, we have almost 500,000 people from birth to full adult. And we could have all of those people receiving our services, except for the fact that we need to grow to be able to provide that to them. And in order to do that, we need more funding.
That's awesome. Do you have any bilingual staff?
We don't have any bilingual staff right now, but the SIB kits that I was talking about earlier is bilingual. And we do have that available in Spanish and English.
That's awesome.
I don't want to get too carried away. It's bilingual and only bilingual at the moment. But
Great.
But we do recognize the fact that we want to try and be as inclusive as possible, and we're really working hard to try and reach out to as many people as possible.
I love that.
How many families are you serving right now? Approximately.
It's a little difficult because I've been a nonprofit executive for about 35 years. And when I worked for one of the nonprofits, it was the Scouts. And everyone who signed up, you could count that very easily because they had a year membership.
Right.
We don't have a year membership. It's
right. They're
just,
using services.
They're using services and they show up each month. So we may have one kid show up 12 times in a year. We may have 12 kids show up once in a year. So it's difficult to get an exact number, but I would say on average across the state of Wisconsin for the kids, this particular year, we're probably going to be serving somewhere between 750 and 1,000 kids. Our teens are probably in the 50 to 100 range, and our adults are probably also in that 50 to 100 range. We have lots of room for more. We aren't saying no to anyone, so we want the programs to continue to grow. I want to add more geographies to the area. I can see a need in La Crosse, a need in Eau Claire, a need, basically everywhere. One of the places that I've seen a real need is in northern Wisconsin, where there's no real, city to really wrap around. So we're trying to figure out active ways to support those families because there seems to be a lot of families up there.
Bill, do you have a story that maybe you could share with us that can resonate and show our community the importance of this program?
Absolutely. I've actually got two relatively short stories for you. One of them, we had a young sibling. Her name was Emily. And Emily had been going to sib shops and was struggling with her feelings of isolation and confusion. She wasn't really sure about what her role was in the family. And through our programs, she was able to find a community of peers and better able to understand her experience. The peers were able to relate to her experience, and she gained confidence, learned valuable coping skills, and even became a mentor for other young siblings as time went by. This last summer, we had Sib Days of Summer, our day camp here in Appleton at Plowman Park. And we had a young girl come for her very first ever Wisconsinsibs activity. And she came on Monday and came back on Tuesday. And she had such an amazing experience that by Tuesday afternoon, she was telling her grandma that she wanted to come back next year and the year after, and that the year after that, she'd be old enough, she wanted to be on staff to help other kids get the kind of experience and support that she felt within 2 days. And to me, that was amazing how quickly she was brought into the community, how quickly she bonded to that community, and how quickly she got our mission to want to help others. So fantastic work being done, and it's not an uncommon thing. That's our norm. We just need to get the word out to more people.
Yes, definitely. I can definitely see how somebody in need, when they feel that.
Well, it's a sort of thing for my personal family. I have 4 kids. 3 of my 4 kids have had a combined 35 brain surgeries. 2 have had combined over 30 eye surgeries. Then I have 1 son who didn't have any of that challenge. And he got good grades. We thought he was doing well in school. All of that kind of stuff, we thought he was, doing well. And then I get this job, and I start talking to the family about what my new job is, working with Wisconsinsibs. And he looks at us and said, yeah, I could have used something like that when I was growing up, because I felt alone. I felt a little bit of survivor's remorse, so to speak, in the sense that he didn't have these problems his brothers were having, and he wasn't entirely sure how to handle it. He didn't have someone he could have talked to. And even though we thought he could talk to mom and dad, he didn't have that peer to really be able to share the experience with that would understand what it was he was going through. So we wish we had had a program like this where he grew up, and it's something that we really want to try and make sure everybody has the opportunity here in Wisconsin. One of the other things that is interesting about Wisconsinsibs is that Wisconsinsibs was one of the absolute original sibling network providers. And we, as it turns out, are one of the gold standards for sibling networks across the country. There's about 30 across all the United States, and each state typically has their own sibling network. But Wisconsinsibs is one of 2 or 3 that really has stepped out and become the leader in sibling support.
What's a myth or misunderstanding people might have about SIBS and the work that is done? Or maybe even about those who are in need of your programming?
Well, probably the simplest misunderstanding most people have is that they see a sibling that has a disability and a sibling that doesn't, and they assume that the sibling that doesn't have a challenge in life. And they don't fully understand that they are concerned about their sibling. And, I should really be clear about this. When I say a sibling relationship, they're just as likely to quarrel with their sibling. They're just as likely to fight over a toy. They're likely to pout and be upset about something. But they also, like so many other siblings, If you pick on my little brother, you picked on me, we're having some words about it. They're going to be the first to defend. So it is the sort of thing that they're just like any other siblings. And as such, they've got that sibling love. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand that unique dynamic between them because they think there's going to be something different because the sibling has a disability. And that's just not the case. And most siblings are going to want people to just treat their sibling with a disability as if they're just their sibling. Just treat them like normal, help them be included, help them do something that is going to feel like they're part of the game or part of the organization or just being part of the presence.
Yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating that I would have never thought of somebody with a disability having to think of the siblings having to take over after the parents. You speaking about it right now, I'm kind of in awe, like, my goodness, yes. I would have never thought of it, but that's really what happens.
We had an interesting family recently participate in our Journey Forward program. Mom and dad are easily late 70s, maybe young 80s. One sister who's probably in her 40s or young 50s, and twin brothers that are probably about 44. The twin brothers both have a disability, and mom and dad have reached that point where physically they are not capable of providing the love and care that they have for over 40 years. The brothers have an incredibly tight bonded relationship to each other, and it would not have been good for them to be sent to separate care facilities. So there, they had a challenge of finding a care facility that could take both of them at the same time. They finally found a place that was brand new, just opening, and they got their foot in the door, got the brothers a place where they could live together. But the strife and concern for mom and dad of having 40 plus years of being the care providers, loving their kids, knowing what their kids needed and wanted, and to reach that point where they weren't capable of being able to take that next role on. And then the sister recognizing that she wouldn't be able to have them necessarily live with her, but she was going to make sure that they were well taken care of. And there's so many different challenges at that level when you're dealing with an adult sibling, because you need powers of attorney, you need financial plans, you need all of these different things worked out and done in just the right way so it doesn't become a problem even bigger in the future.
Are there any upcoming events, initiatives, or engagement opportunities?
Absolutely. We've got some really fun things coming up. I've mentioned it a little bit already, but we've got the SIB shops every month, and they have different places that they go to, and it's always a blast. We also have SIB Days of Summer coming up. We've got a 5-day day camp here in Appleton, and this will be our first summer ever to have SIB Days of Summer in Madison and Milwaukee. They're only doing 2 days each, but we're very excited to be opening it up, and next year we'll have more. We also have our SIB camp, which is going to be 4 days, 3 nights, 5 days, 4 nights. I forget which, but it's basically a week of overnight camping. And they're going to be located on Green Lake at Dechola Camp. We're leasing out the camp for the week. And they will be able to do waterfront activities on Green Lake. They'll be able to do archery, crafts, and just hang out and have fun with each other. It'll be a blast.
That's awesome. I forgot to ask, is there any cost to the siblings or the families for
There
these
is.
services?
And we try to keep it as minimal as possible because we don't want cost to be a barrier. But at the same time, we also need to try and manage our expenses. For example, for years and years and years, we've been doing our SIB shops at $15 a month. Realistically, in today's universe, you can't hardly go to a McDonald's and get a value meal, and you're paying almost $15 for a single value meal.
Bill, you are speaking the truth.
So we are looking at having to change that a little bit. The SIB Days of Summer has a small cost. I think it's $2 200 for 5 days, 100 for each of the 2-day camps. And then the overnight camp is $575 for the week. So there are moderate prices, but they're very competitive for what we're offering compared to other organizations doing something similar. But it is, again, kind of comes back to our whole fundraising part of what we need to do to keep up with our growth. If we were to be so blessed as to have someone drop $100,000 or $1 million on us, we would certainly be able to increase our programs without any problem whatsoever because there are so many in need of what we're offering. Realistically, I'm not expecting that to happen, but we are trying to find people who would be willing to maybe help us with 25 or 100, 500, 2,500. We're looking for community businesses that would be willing to be sponsors for the day camp or summer camp or be sponsors for SIB shops. We're looking for people who would be willing to be sponsors for our fundraising events. We recently had a murder mystery dinner here in Appleton, and it was an absolute blast. We had 150 people show up. And we had some amazing sponsors to help us underwrite the costs of it, and we had a great experience. And the beauty that I thought of the whole event was that anyone who did not attend that night, the next day they were getting told by the people who did, you really missed out because it was a lot of fun. And we just did our very first ever fundraiser in Madison, did another murder mystery. Coming up in April on the 11th, we've got a Vegas-style event that is we're calling it Vegas Madness, and it is an opportunity to come out and play some Vegas-style games, participate in a raffle, have some fun with a silent auction, and have some great food and fellowship and hang out with your friends while having a fun night out and supporting the mission of Wisconsinsibs. So we've got a lot of really cool things going on that way. We're working continuously to try and grow our adult SIBS programs. So we're always looking to try and add to it and try to find ways to fund it. And if someone was so inclined and felt like supporting us, we would love for them to visit our website at wisconsinsibs.org. There's going to be a place where they can make a donation online if they want to do that. If they want to mail in a check, they can mail it to our organization at 211 East Franklin, Appleton, Wisconsin, 54911. If they have items that they could donate for our raffle or silent auction, that would be a huge, huge help because it's always a challenge to find something that's a quality item to help our auction or raffle go off. If there is a company that would like to be a sponsor, whether for a single event or for a year-long sponsorship, we would love to talk to them to find something to help them out. If there's someone who has a service, whether it's preparing taxes or doing lawn care for a month or for 6 months, whatever it might be, snow removal service, if they wanted to give one family their snow removal for a season, whatever it might be. But those kinds of services are things that people would love to see at our raffles and our auctions.
Awesome. That's awesome. Besides monetary help, how else can the community help the organization?
So we're always looking for volunteers. We're looking for people to help us in a variety of capacities, whether it's helping us put on SIB shops each month, or it's someone who might help at the SIB Days of Summer Day Camp or the Summer Camp SIB Camp. If it's someone who might be willing to come and sit at one of our tables at a conference to help provide information to people walking by. We have a lot of community events that we go and sit at and have a table to help raise our awareness of Wisconsinsibs. So we have lots of opportunities. We're also looking for the opportunity to find some more board members. We want more board members from here in the Fox Cities area. But if you happen to have a hot lead on an idea for someone that might be in the Milwaukee or Madison area or somewhere else in the state, we have our board meetings typically are over a digital media. So they're not limited to someone that has to be within a drive time to Appleton. We're looking for people to help us grow everywhere in the state.
Well, I know you mentioned this just a little bit ago, but who and how can people contact you if they would like to learn more?
Absolutely. So they can either use our general email box, which is info@wisconsinsibs.org, or they could change info to bill@wisconsinsibs.org and get me directly. Our phone number is 920-968-1742. Our address is 211 East Franklin, Appleton, Wisconsin, 54911. And our web address is wisconsinsibs.org. So that's WISCONSIBS.org.
All right. Bill, is there any additional information that you would like to share with the Appleton Engage listeners that maybe we didn't ask a question about that you think might be really important?
Yeah, I would ask that even if you're not in a financial position to be able to offer us a service or a donated item or a cash gift, if you could do us the simple benefit of being an ambassador for Wisconsinsibs, tell people about this podcast, share our story with them, tell them about the good work we're doing in the community, help them find out about us, because there's so many people that don't know that we exist. We need to share this mission statement and help the siblings of people with disabilities across Wisconsin. And just the simple word of mouth could go so far if you can't do anything else.
Absolutely. I love that. Do you have any shout outs today?
I do. First and foremost, I would like to send a shout out to some of our recent sponsors. I'd like to say thanks to Community First Credit Union, Myron Construction, Hooper Law Offices for sponsoring our recent murder mystery dinner. And I'm excited we have a brand new sponsor. The Oneida Nation is going to help us with our Vegas Madness event. I would also like to send a huge, big thanks to our volunteers and supporters who make everything possible, a heartfelt appreciation to the families that trust us to help support their youth, teen, and adult siblings, and most and finally, our dedicated staff who work tirelessly to achieve our mission and do it on a shoestring. And they do it with big hearts and open arms.
Well, Bill, we want to say here at Appleton Engage, thank you to you and your team and Wisconsinsibs for the work that you're doing.
You bet. We're excited to be here.
At this time, Appleton Engage listeners, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. And I want to say thank you for spending time with us, giving us your minds and ears, caring about this community, learning about another amazing resource, helping to make this a better place. Just making this a great community to live in and helping us be great neighbors to one another. As you know, our mission always is we are trying to become the #1 podcast in Northeast Wisconsin, and we can't do it without your help. So how can you help? There's a couple of things you can do. As you listen to these episodes and you have ideas for how we can be better or questions you would like us to ask, please reach out to us. If you would like to be a guest, if you would like to recommend a guest, reach out to us. And you can reach us at belonging@appletonwi.gov. Once again, that is belonging@appletonwi.gov. Also, we think we have a pretty special resource here ourselves in this podcast known as Appleton Engaged. And we do believe it makes us a stronger community. The more people that get to learn about these episodes and all of these amazing resources we have. So how do we let more people know? Well, it's called analytics. So take a moment, press the subscribe button, fill out a review for us, or if you see the opportunity, give us 5 stars. These are all things that raise our profile, increase our analytics, and therefore they will share this amazing resource far and wide in this region.
Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.